Welcome to Questions Just Asked. I'm Chaplain John Ring. I'm here to answer the questions that you wanted to ask but never did. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm starting to run out of questions. I'm using a book to answer these questions. But after that book's done, I have very few questions. And I don't want to end this because we run out of questions, because I know you got questions. Send them to John at hopelowcountry.org. That's John at hopelowcountry.org. And I'll make sure I'll answer the questions you've been dying to ask. Well, what's our question today? Here we are, November 10th. Things are rolling along. Thanksgiving's coming soon. So here we go. How do we reconcile the two different creation stories presented in Genesis chapters 1 and 2? I got to be honest with you. This question threw me for a loop. I never looked at it as two different creation stories. I still don't look at it as two different creation stories. I still think it's one story, only one's broad and one's focus. But I will answer it according to the text. The Bible is not intended to be a textbook. In chapter 1, creation takes 7 days. In chapter 2, there's no time frame and none is needed. The order of creation is different in chapter 2, but does it have to be just like that in chapter 1? How many times do we remember lists, but they're not exact? Just because there's two different, one is like sun, moon, and stars, and it gives a different, it says created, and it's a different list. It's just not in the same order. Does that mean it's wrong? No, it's just different. Also, the theologians say the writing styles are different. Here's what I say. So maybe somebody else helped write that part. Maybe the first part was in poetic form. Maybe the second part was not. I don't know. But so what? Does that make it that it's not any good? In Genesis chapter 1, God is transcendent. In chapter 2, he's very human. So, of course, it's going to look different. Has anyone considered that chapter 1 is the Father and chapter 2 might be the Son walking with Adam and Eve in the garden? Because Jesus is God in human form. Who was walking with Adam and Eve in the Bible? Maybe it was Jesus. Maybe that's the difference. Chapter 1 is the grand creation. Chapter 2 focuses on man, mainly Adam and Eve. It's more about their relationship with God. So it's going to look different. Two different perspectives, but the same story. No different than if I hold this book up here. I got a book right here. So if I hold this book up to you and say, tell me what you see. You're going to see, I see a white notebook, no writing, got some papers hanging out of it, blocking you. Well, I'm going to say something different. I'm going to say, it says trainer mentor. It's a Hope for the Community's trainer mentor training, 2022. It's the director's copy. It's got a little piece of paper right inside of here. Now, are either one of them not true? They're both true. They're just two different perspectives. Simon Morris, professor at Cambridge University, said, I think if you try and make the Bible into a quasi-scientific document, you're going to have you're doing a great disservice. And I agree 100% with him. The Bible isn't meant to be a science book. N.T. Wright goes on to say, he's a respected theologian, says, the Bible isn't there simply to be an accurate reference point for people who want to look things up and make sure they get them right. It's there to equip people to carry forth God's purposes of new covenant and new creation. They're both so exactly right, both saying the same thing, only differently. So these two men say basically the same thing, only two different ways. That's the same way I look at chapters 1 and 2. I don't think there's any difference. I'm not looking for the Bible to be that detail-oriented. Of course, I admit I'm not a detail-oriented person. It might drive some people nuts. I like to look at it as same story, different perspective. All right? That answers it. That's what I'm answering. Maybe you don't like that answer, but that's how I answered it. And that's how I see it to be. Next week, we're going to look at an interesting question, and it's going to be one of the shortest answers I've ever given. It's since the Bible isn't in alphabetical or chronological order, how did it get in its current form? Interesting question, but it's not going to take me that long to answer it. See you next week.